Hello there folks, and thanks for joining me once again at my tying bench. Today I'm going to tie up the popular light cahill dry fly. At the moment I'm restocking my boxes here and tying a bunch of size 16s to replace that I lost last season, and thought I'd bring you along with this one this time around. And this is 16 I have here in the vise, but I'm going to tie a 14 for the video so you see it a little bit better. So we'll get this little guy at the vise here. I'll get a hook in and we'll get tying here. So I've got a standard dry fly hook here, size 14. I'll get that locked in the vise. Okay. There we go. It's in there good. Now for thread I'm using 8/0 uni thread in a pale yellow. Okay. Now we're going to start our thread here right behind the eye just a wee bit. And we're going to wrap back. Okay. We'll stop about 3 eye lengths behind the eye here. Okay, now for the wing it calls for woodduck, and I don't have any natural woodduck, but I have the dyed mallard woodduck, which is fine. And there's several ways you can attach the wings. One way I like to do it is find a feather, if you can, that's nice and straight across the top here. The tips are even. And then what I'll do is just snip out the center portion, at the end there, the tip. I'll snip that out of there. If I can get my scissors in there good. There we go. And that just, as you can see, it's like a little V in the center there. Then what I'll do is take the stem here on top, where I want the wing to be, and I'm just going to make a couple, not tight wraps, like medium tight wraps. And then I'll take my fingers and fold that, pinch at the same time. Then I'm going to pull on my stem, and I'm going to keep pulling and then check the length on that until I get it where I want it. And you just measure it up with the shank. A little too long still, so I'm going to pull it a little bit more. And that should be just about right there. So we'll snug that down. Make a few wraps rearward there, nice tight wraps. Make sure it's on the top. Looks good. Then I'm going to come in and snip that excess on an angle here, just like so. Then I'm going to go back to behind the wings here. Going to lift up on them. And I'm going to, every once in a while, I'm going to put a little wax on my thread. Wax is a good thing to use in fly tying. It helps grip your materials well, keep them from sliding around. And I'm going to just make a little dam in front of that wing. Like so. Okay, and that's what we got so far there. Now, to divide them, there's several ways. You can use a dubbing needle and go in and divide them, or you can just use your fingers. I'm just going to spread the fibers out a little bit here. This time around, I'll just use my fingers to divide the sections. I'm going to look to see if they look pretty even. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you want to try to get them as even as possible. That looks good there. So then I'm going to make a cross wrap in between them first. I'm going to go around that side, then back around my side through between the wings. Now what I like to do is make 3 to 4 figure eights at the base of the wing. So we'll come around, just make your figure eights 3 or 4 times there. Go one more time. Then what I'll do, let's make one more crisscross wrap over top of the figure eights, like so. And I'm going to pull down tight, and that will lock those wings in place for you. Then I'll make 2 or 3 wraps quickly behind the wings here, snug wraps. And there's your divided wings. That's one way you can do it. There's several ways on YouTube. You can probably see different ways to do it. That's how I like to do it most times. Then what I will do is take a little bit of, drop a head cement here and put between the wings. That just keeps them in place there at the base there for you. Okay. Okie dokie. Alrighty. Now, next I'm going to wrap back here towards the bend of the hook here. We'll cover up our material from our wings. We'll stop there. Okay, now the tail. I just have a cream colored dry fly neck here, and I got one of the bigger hackles off the top that I'm going to use to get my tail fibers. Like so here, one about that size, and I'm just going to strip some off. I guess if you were counting 15 to 20 fibers probably, I don't count, but and the fish don't count them either. Just a half decent tail. And we want that to be about hook shank length, so I'm going to come in. I'm going to tie that on top here. Make it just a couple loose wraps first in case I have to adjust for length. That's a little too long. So I'm going to back off a wrap and then slide that ahead. And I'm going to check. That looks good right there. Hold up on it to keep it on top. Check it. Make sure it's on top. Looks good. Alright, so then we're going to wrap forward on those excess tail fibers. Then I'm going to come in with my scissors. Scissor tips here and snip those out. Okay. Just like so here. Okay. Just be careful you don't cut anything you don't want to cut there, and then we'll finish binding those down. Okay. That looks good. Alright, next is the body, and I'm using some kapok dubbing here. Kapok is my favorite dry fly dubbing. It binds to the thread really well. I don't have to use wax on or anything. So we're gonna go down. Just gonna wet my fingers a little bit, and we'll start our noodle. And we want to get a little taper as we do on our dry flies towards the wing. So keep that in mind as you dub. A little thicker as you get to the end of the noodle. And we don't want a huge body on this fly. Just okay. We'll try that there. If I have to add more, it's no big deal. Okay, so I'm going to wrap back first towards the tail. Just going to turn the vise for a moment here. So I want to make sure I'm getting that first drop of dubbing right in front of my tail. Whoops. You want to be mindful of the hook point that I just nicked there. Always mindful of that. Alright. Bring it around. Going to wrap forward. I sort of screwed up there, folks. Just want to get that noodle nice and thin there. There we go. Going to add a little bit more to it, actually. Just bear with me here. Okie dokie. My fingers are kind of dry and cracked from the cold weather. It's a little bit. It doesn't take much. If you nick the thread on your fingers, you can screw things up. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. Now we're going back the way we want. So we're going to wrap. Actually, I got a bare spot right there. There we go. Now we'll proceed forward. And we'll just get that little taper as we go up. Okay, I want to touch more. Just a hair more dubbing there. Alright, that should be fine. Alright. There we go, right there. And I'm going to stop my thread there. Trim out that little guard hair there. One on top. Alright. Looks pretty good now. Okie dokie. Now for the hackle. I'm only going to use one hackle on this guy. These are fairly long hackles. You don't see any. It's not necessary to use two on this particular fly. I find one is good. I don't want it overly heavily hackled anyways. So. Alright, we're going to make a couple wraps over top of that stem. Then we're going to sneak a couple wraps in behind it to lock it in place. Then I'm going to wrap forward behind the wings and then jump in front to continue binding that stem down there. Just like so. And I'm going to come in my fingernail and lift up on that stem so I can get at it. Snip it off. I'm going to add a little more wax on my thread there, folks. Whoops. Okay. Never hurts to use wax while you're tying. Helps grip things well. Now I'll smooth that base out for the hackle before we wrap it. Stop my thread there, right behind the eye. Alright, so we're set to wrap our hackle now. So I'll grab my little plunger pliers here. And if the hackle breaks on us, I have another one, a couple more ready here, just in case, because that does happen once in a while here with these hackles, I find. Alright, we're going to come up around. Got one wrap there, and I get 2 or 3 wraps behind the wing. I usually find is plenty. Okay, now we're going to push back on the wings there, come in front. And we'll keep wrapping forward there, just like so, till we get to where I want to tie off. A couple more wraps. Okay, I'm going to come up around one last time. Okay, when I come up this time, I'll catch that hackle in. A couple wraps over top here. Full snug them. Oh, that snipped off, but I caught it just in time, so that can happen. But if you catch it like I just did, you're lucky. So we were lucked out that time. It was already caught under the thread before the tip broke off, so that's good. We didn't have to start that over. Okay, I got a couple of fibers sticking out there I want to trim. One little trick that I'll mention, if you're coming in close if you use your thumb to steady your scissors, you'll get it much easier for you to cut when you're cutting in close like that. Just a little tip. Okay, now we're just going to build a little hit on this guy. Actually, I'm going to do a half hitch first before we do our whip finish, because I want to push back any fibers that we may have caught in there. Just got to find my other whip finisher, folks. There it is. Okay. I'm just going to make one half hitch first before we do our whip finish. Going to come in like so. Okay, pull any like errant fibers back there. That looks good. Alright, now we'll do our whip finish, folks. So I'm going to add a little wax there to the thread before I do my whip finish. Okay, we're going to come in and we'll get 4 or 5 turns on this guy. Okay, that should be fine. Okay, pull back on it nice and tight and seat the knot. There we go. And I'll come in with, snip that off. There we go. Alrighty, pretty much done here now. We just got to add our hit cement to the head of the fly. Okay, I'll come in with a little bit of hit cement here. Grab my dubbing needle once again. And we'll put a drop on there. This is really thin cement and it penetrates quick, so it's good for putting on the head of these little flies. Secure the thread wraps really very well. Just want to get a little bit on the round there on both sides. If I get on the needle here, I'll be doing something. There we go. There, and that'll soak in really well. Okay, well there she be, folks. Size 14, good old Lake Cahill. I'm sure you all have seen that fly many times and may have tied it already, but I just wanted to bring you along while I was restocking my box and share this one with you. And if you haven't tied it before, definitely give it a go. It's an excellent fly. It's been producing for many, many, many years. And also I tied the dark cahill version as well. I've been working on some of these as well. This is the dark cahill here. You just change the hackle and the dubbing to a dun gray color. If you want to tie some of those up as well. So anyway, I want to thank you for joining me once again. Appreciate it. And if it's your first time viewing, if you haven't seen my videos and you want to subscribe, hit the good old subscribe button there. And throw in a like as well. I appreciate that. And also, like I always say, if you have any comments, put them down below. I'll definitely read them for sure. And I hope you'll join me again next time. So for now, folks, happy tying out there. I shall see you all again soon, and so long for now.